People are absolutely furious because this is a massive failure. Failure is a kind word.
FBI is coming under fire in a new report by the Justice Department that looked at the agency's handling of allegations of sexual abuse by a former USA Gymnastics doctor. It's one of the largest sex abuse scandals ever to rock the sports world. The Inspector General found that the FBI seriously mishandled the Larry Nassar case, and during a more than year-long delay in bringing him to justice, upwards of 70 young athletes were abused by him under the guise of medical treatment. Tonight, a Jacksonville native Nassar assaulted says it's appalling that those responsible haven't been indicted.
When countless girls are sexually abused because of your negligence and mistakes, I think that goes beyond failure.
This sexual abuse Jessica Howard, a Hall of Fame gymnast, says she endured at the hands of Dr. Larry Nassar in 1999 when she was just 15, haunts her to this day.
Every single night I have nightmares about all of this.
Nassar, the former team doctor for USA Gymnastics and Michigan State's athletic department, is serving more than 100 years in prison. He was arrested in 2016, more than a year after complaints were filed with the FBI. According to this Office of Inspector General report released on Wednesday, senior officials in the FBI Indianapolis field office failed to respond to allegations about Nassar with the utmost seriousness and urgency that the allegations deserved and required. It says they made numerous and fundamental errors when they did respond to them. They failed to notify state or local authorities of the allegations, and they failed to take responsibility for their failures when they came under scrutiny.
Every single report just proves me as an athlete right, what I know is true, but then they prove it with their reports, and then nothing is done. So the systemic problems are still so inherent in these structures and in these systems.
Howard believes had the FBI done its job, dozens of victims would have never been molested.
70 plus girls. Our numbers have it closer to 120, with the youngest being 8. Were new victims that year.
She wants those who failed to protect young athletes from Nassar to be held accountable.
I want indictments. I want Congress, potentially the president, to appoint a special prosecutor. This can't just be shuffled off to the side and dealt with later anymore.
Now, an FBI assistant director called the facts in the report appalling and says that the agency will implement improvement, changes to policies, procedures, and training. You can read the full report in the story on firstcoastnews.com.
You're watching